All right, this is the first flight of the day for this airplane. The captain and the first officer are in their seats. We'll begin with the first officer flow on the acceptance checklist. First officer is going to start with the emergency light switch. We're going to push that switch in on the overhead panel. Once that is in, if you look underneath the glare shield, there should be 2 bulbs underneath the left side, 2 bulbs underneath the right side. A total of 4 bulbs should be illuminated for a good test. Come up and turn that switch back off. After that, the first officer is going to go down the side panel, his circuit breaker panel, make sure all of those circuit breakers are in, then down to the alternate static source, and that should be in the normal position, and the switch should be guarded by a red metal strip. We're also supposed to check the emergency oxygen masks. We'll have to wait until the captain does his flow and turns those knobs on. Captain flow begins with the standby gyro. Standby gyro panel is right here. We're going to take the switch, go down to the test position and hold it. We get an aux test light on. That should go off within 5 seconds. Once that light goes off, we're going to take the same switch, go to the on position. We're going to get a horn, and an aux light comes on as well. Push the horn silence button to silence that horn. Standby gyro is right here. The light should be on in the standby gyro. We're going to take the knob, pull it out, and rotate down to the left and let go. That should uncage that gyro. Once that has worked, go ahead and pull it out, rotate it back up again to recage it, and come up to the switch and turn the switch back off again. From there, we come back over to the far left side, the EFIS aux power. That test is very similar to the standby gyro. We're going to take the test switch, go down to the test position. We got an aux test light comes on. That should go off within 5 seconds. Once that light goes off, we're going to take the same switch, turn it on. Again, we will get that horn, and an aux light comes on. Silence the horn, and turn that switch back off again. And that's a good test on the EFIS aux power. From there, we keep going down. The captain's going to go down to the valves for the oxygen supply. The cabin oxygen supply, make sure that is pushed in before you take the oxygen for the cockpit and pull it out. Once we pull that out, then we're going to check the circuit breakers. We've got a circuit breaker panel underneath the fuel panel. Make sure that those are all in. Circuit breakers should be in on the landing gear panel as well. And then we keep going down by the captain's left ankle. He should have the alternate static source switch in the normal position as well. That should be guarded by that red metal strip. Once that's accomplished, we can come up to the overhead panel to the oxygen masks. Check the oxygen flow into each one of the masks. There's the captain's and the co-pilots. You just rotate it 1 click to the right. That should put it in the emergency position so you can hear the oxygen flow. And that's a good test up to the point we're going to turn on the battery switch. All of those items that we just did should be done before the battery switch is turned on. All right, before we turn the battery switch on, we need to come up to the overhead panel, the rotary switch up here. Go over and put the switch to the battery position. You have to hold it in the battery position. Check the voltage. The battery voltage should be at least 23.5 as a minimum. It can go down as low as 20 if you're going to use an external power start, but for a battery start, it should be 23.5 as a minimum. And now the captain will come by the left lower sub panel, turn on the battery switch. Once the battery switch is on, notice we get several lights coming on, annunciator lights. We're going to punch off the master caution and master warning lights. And now we're going to test the annunciator lights. On the panel right here, there's a push to test switch. Push that in and hold it. You'll notice some of the lights will stay off for about 5 seconds or so. Lights that we want to check for on the forward panel by the EFIS aux power, we have some lights there. The EFIS panel has some lights here. Auto feather lights come on there. There's a ground power light, EFIS panel light, and fast erect light should come on as well. Notice we do have the master warning, master caution flashers on. Make sure we do have all the red lights. Anything that does not have a light associated with it should have a blank line in there. Same thing on the lower panel. There should be something in each position. If there's no light associated with that, there should be a blank line in there. So that's a good test on the annunciators. After that, we're going to check the 2 different things. If you look at the checklist, it says fuel and fire detect systems. There's actually 2 different tests. It's a fuel system test and a fire test. To begin with, we're going to take the fire handles, pull both of those out, and we're going to go on the fuel panel and turn on both the standby pumps. Both the left and right standby pumps are on. Now when we look up here at the annunciator panels, we should have a left fuel pressure low light on and a right fuel pressure low light on. That is good because the fire handles are pulled. The fire test, there's an engine fire test switch panel down here. We're going to go to the top left switch and go to the test A position. That gives us a dish OK light on the left side. We're going to take the right switch, go to the test day position. We get a dish OK light on the right side. I'll take that same left switch and go down. That gives us an OK light. The right switch go down, and that gives us an OK light. The two lower switches, we're going to start by going up to the loop position. That gives us a master caution light, and it also gives us a left fire loop light. And take the right switch, go up to the loop position. That gives us a master caution light and a right fire loop light. Turn that switch off. I'll take the left switch and go down, and that's going to actually give us a full fire warning. We go down there, we got a left fire warning, then a master warning light, an extinguisher push light, and a light in the fire handle comes on. Turn that off, punch off the master warning, do the same thing with the right switch, push that down, we get a right fire warning, the master warning comes on, the extinguisher light comes on, and a light in the fire handle. So go ahead and turn that switch off, push off the master warning, and that really completes the fire test. Now we're going to take the left fire handle, push it in. When we do that, left fuel pressure low light should go out. Take the right fire handle, push it in, and the right fuel pressure low light should go out. Now we come over to the fuel panel. We're going to take the left standby pump. We're going to turn that off. That gives us a master warning light and the left fuel pressure low light coming back on. We're going to take the right standby pump, turn it off. Again, we get a master warning light coming on because of a right fuel pressure low light. On the fuel panel, we want to check the fuel transfer, so I'm going to take the transfer flow switch, go push it to the right, and when we do that, the side feeding it, which is the left side, we should get a left fuel pressure light goes out and a fuel transfer light on the annunciator panel. I'm going to go the opposite direction now. When I turn that switch off, we get a master warning, the left fuel pressure low light comes on. I'm going to go from right to left, and the right fuel pressure low light goes out, and we get a fuel transfer light showing that we are transferring from right to left. When I turn the transfer switch back off again, that will give us the master warning light and a fuel pressure low light. I'm going to punch that off, and the final thing I want to do is the bottom right corner, there's a fuel quantity aux switch. If I push that down to the aux position, the fuel quantity gauges will show how much fuel is in the aux tank. And in this case, we do not have any fuel in the aux tank, so I'll turn that back off again, and I will leave the aux fuel pumps in the off position. And that completes that test. All right, after the fuel fire detect system, there's a door annunciator circuitry that the first officer would have checked before he even came up here. From there, the captain's going to go down to the landing gear panel. There is a handle light test. We push that, and we do get the two red lights in the landing gear handle. You can see the J hook is in position. There's a down lock release to the left of the handle. If we push that down, notice the J hook does move out of the way. That's a good test. We also want to make sure that we have the nose, left hand and right hand green lights are on. The landing gear relay circuit breaker is in, and down on the floor by the captain's left or right foot, the extension pump handle should be stowed. And that's it on the acceptance checklist.